Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of KXP. Unfortunately, I had another problem with our recording of the footage this time, and so we will not have the building of the craft that we're working on today, just the final touches of it, but we will be doing the whole mission. Thankfully that worked out. I think I've nailed down the problem with what's going on, so hopefully it'll be able to fix in the future. But today we are going to be working on two contracts, and that is to launch the Kerbin space station and to launch the Minimus space station. And we'll be able to do that both in the same launch because the vessel will work for both of them. So this is what I came up with. It's basically the core of a space station. It's got some docking ports where we can add extra parts to it. But other than that, it's self-sufficient. It has enough electrical charge. It has enough batteries to hold the electrical charge. It's got enough solar panels to generate the charge. The communication dishes on it are strong enough to reach from Minimus to Kerbin, so that's all good. It was very, very, very wobbly, so that's why you see me putting all these different struts on it. And the launch profile we're going to be taking is not, the most efficient, but I found in my rigorous testing that a truly efficient launch profile ends up with this thing flipping over. So sometimes you just gotta take what you can get. But as far as our crew, we've got 4 brand new Kerbals in here. We hired them on before the start of this, so their maiden voyage will be their first one as well. And they'll be spending some time in the space station doing some science. As you see there, we have a mobile processing lab, so we're going to use this to really boost our science gains. So there we go, we did our last and final test. All we gotta do is make sure we have our things on the correct action groups. We're gonna describe it. We're naming this the KISS, and that is the Kerbal International Space Station. And then once it reaches its way to Minimus, it will be the MISS. But this will be the first part of our Minimus kind of colonization. In a way, we're going to try to put a base on Minimus so we can use it as a launch pad for future endeavors. And so the first start of that is going to be getting a space station in orbit. So there we go, we've got it all finished. And before we jump into that, I want to kind of address a control that I like to change around, and this is a perfect time to show you where it's at. But if you go into Kerbals under game input, you can change the translation on the EVA jetpack. So as you see there, I have mine as keyboards 4, 8, 6, and 2 to move forward and backwards, and then plus and the enter key to move upwards and downwards. But I still had the previous default keys on this in flight, and so when I was in the first-person view of the Kerbal, or excuse me, the third-person view of the Kerbal, I was not able to control it the way that I typically like to. So I'm going to adjust all these here, and I recommend it. If you have a keyboard that has a number pad, it's a lot, the keys line up a lot easier on the number pad with your right hand. And if you ever get confused about which direction you need to go, they have arrows printed on them. So that's something I like to do. But here we are on the launch pad, getting ready to put our very first space station in orbit. And it's a funky little one. We have the Mach 1 plane cockpit on there. We're using the DE plus MAS IVA mod. So it's fairly advanced. I'm not doing like we did in our KSP POV series where we start off with low tech. I'm gonna allow myself this high tech machine because after all, it's going to be our space station for a while, so might as well make it something we like. So we're just going to set up our screens the way we like it, and then we're going to move around between all the different Kerbals and see who we've got and where we have them. We have a nice, very advanced flight screen here. We can actually use this to activate MechJeb and create our automated flight and automated orbit info. We may use some of that a little bit later, but we are mostly going to be flying it by hand. That's nice. It's nice to have that kind of information in an IVA mode. So let's go ahead and just look through all of our options. This is a pretty useful one that shows your fuel and your electric charge and all that. Basically all of your resources can be found there. Vertical takeoff and landing, we don't have that, but it is useful for when you're doing that. And then just a general camera that goes right there. You see it's all of our docking port cameras, so we're gonna leave it on that. We might change this one around. Got vessel view. All of the mods are going to be listed in the description below in a Google Doc. So if you're curious at what kind of IVA mods I am running, check that out there. Alright, so let's set our SAS. Make sure our comms are on. Yep, we've got communication with mission control. Sounds good. And just doing all the pre-flight checklist. It's really fun. We're going to be doing this whole mission in IVA mode. I really enjoy utilizing these parts, and another big aspect of this episode, another big mod that we're going to be using is free IVA, because once we get up into 0G gravity or 0G environment, we're gonna be floating around. So here we are, our two scientists, just in the crew capsule for now, in case anything goes wrong. They can, they're not, stuck in the lab or one of the cupolas. So just getting ready to launch. Everyone's nervous. It's their first flight, but they're in good hands. The pilot was well trained. So now we are ready to get ready. We turn our thrusts all the way up, and then we flip the switch to ignite the first stage. The voice reads out our altitude as we raise up. And it's nice to have a full cockpit, a full window in the cockpit, so you can see the cloud layers we pass through it. We're going to lock to prograde just in case anything happens, but like I mentioned, we're going to be taking a relatively vertical ascent. Not going to be tilting very much. And we're going to go through this mission mostly unedited. There's not really much that needed to be edited out. I could have edited out the actual launch sequence itself, but with a craft like this, I had such difficulties in the testing phase that we needed to take what we can get, and so unfortunately this vertical ascent profile is what we can get. But we have plenty of delta V. We've got plenty of thrust, so we should be able to handle something like this. It's a little less than 300 meters per second of delta V left in our first set of side boosters. We did some asparagus staging on this. So that's out, so let's go ahead and separate those. Take a look at our camera. We see that clean separation. There should be no damage to our other engines. That's good. They have Separatrons on them, so we knew that would work. We reached our desired apoapsis, and so we are going to kill the throttle for now. I wanted to be around 200. We're currently sitting at 191, which should be fine because we'll end up raising that a little bit when we circularize. So yeah, we are going to burn our apoapsis. We are going to burn horizontally, prograde, which does put us in this wild orbit because we went basically up. But I don't decide to change it. I don't make it equatorial. I'm just going to leave it as is for now because we are going to be sending this to mid-miss eventually. So we're going to be changing our orbit inclination anyways. So we don't need to have it perfect for now. So we're going to take our maneuver. We're going to plot it into the flight computer of remote tech. It's going to handle it very well. And in 48 seconds we will burn. So let's go ahead and make sure that we're flipping over towards our maneuver node. Slowly but surely we are. There's plenty of reaction wheel in this, so it has plenty of control. A lot of different screens here. This DE plus MAS adds this one particular screen right here that's definitely more advanced than all the other ones. So I haven't played around with it too much, but we probably will be, since this series has been going fairly well, and we're going to be doing even more exploration. Might be working on trying to make a space plane soon. Our channel members get to know the next mission, and they know the type of creations that we make early on as well. And I have a lot of plans for KXP. Very excited. We have the engine flame out warning on there, and that leads me to believe that our side boosters are out. But nope. That was that marker that we just got was the warning that told us our side boosters were out. So they were just low. But now they're done. And once again, easy, clean separation. No damage to our center thruster. And now we have a full tank of gas, or fuel, I should say. And we should be able to circularize easy enough. There's no real safety precautions on here. There's no way to safely bring these Kerbals home, so re-entering the atmosphere is not acceptable in any sense. They must make it to orbit. (609 meters per second left). 30 seconds left on our burn. Negative 200 kilometers periapsis. I'm rotating my craft a little bit to get a little bit better view of the planet below us. No other reason though. And with that, our engine cuts out. So we check our periapsis to make sure that we are indeed in orbit. And our periapsis is at 83 kilometers. That will do. But I do think we'll want to raise it up just a little bit. So let's point ourselves prograde. And then once we reach closer to our apoapsis, we will burn, just raising our periapsis ever so slightly. But here we are. We made it to space. We're in orbit. We have a successful space station, and momentarily we'll be at our desired altitude. We have to kill the remote tech control, of course. So now once we get ourselves pointed towards the prograde marker, we can go ahead and burn. We are already past our apoapsis, unfortunately. However, we're high enough that the little bit of inefficient burn won't be a problem. If we wanted to go to the mun right now, that's what my mouse was waving at. If we wanted to go to the mun right now, we could have. Just all we have to do is burn prograde from here. So that is my lower engine It running out of fuel right as our orbit completed. And so we went ahead and jettisoned that, and it had explosives on it so that way it didn't leave space debris in orbit. So now we are on our last engine, which is a Poodle engine, efficient in a vacuum. We still have 2,000 meters per second delta V left, so we have plenty to get to mid-miss as well as circularize around it. So that's excellent. This should do us nicely. So now for the rest of the episode, we are going to just get our space station set up, get our Kerbals where they need to go, and see what we can see what kind of science we can make. Our vessel view shows us that we are fully deployed and we are the exact size that we were hoping to be. I did have the HUD turned off, but we should have made 40,000 credits. Look at that. So detailed even from here. But yeah, this craft weighs enough that we should have qualified for the heavy launches, so made a little bit of money from that. Kerbals, nice and happy, being safely in space. Our first Kerbal belts himself and is the first Kerbal around walking through or floating through the capsule in 0 G's. So now we are in the mobile processing lab, so he's going to go ahead and get himself situated. We'll go ahead and switch to our other Kerbals. Camera's flipping around all wild. Yeah, so we got our 2 pilots, or 1 pilot, 1 engineer, and 2 scientists. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and real fast take a peek out the window of the mobile processing lab. And then wander our way towards our seat. And like I mentioned, this is the free IVA mod that allows you to, in first person, wander around the craft. It's highly recommended for any kind of IVA mode. Free IVA through the eyes of the Kerbal for EVA first person views. And then of course the Revivia to add multiple IVA mods and switch between them. Definitely recommend. So there we have it. We have both of our scientists in the mobile processing lab getting ready to do some science. We are going to move our engineer out of the cockpit, and he is going to spend some time in the cupola. So we're going to get him out. He's first going to take a quick peek, the pilot, make sure everything is going smoothly, that he doesn't need any snacks or anything. No, he seems to be good. He's going to squeeze himself in there and just take another peek out through the windows. Oh, what? Personal boundaries, sir. You got to learn some personal boundaries. Yeah, I like building these things with free IVA in mind, because then you can, if you make your compartments connectable, then you can just kind of go from one to the other without a problem. And unfortunately, we were not able to connect our cupolas to this particular airlock, so in order for him to go enter that, he will indeed have to go out on a spacewalk. So now that we have our inputs correct, our translation inputs, we can safely let go of the ladder and fully control ourselves in every single degree possible, all in the IVA mode. So first he wants to take a look at the planet, back out a little bit, see the craft in all of its glory, rotate himself around so he can better access the cupola door. And then gonna try to get a little shot for posterity for the Kerbal news back home. Wonderful. So much fun. This game is just it's when you can accomplish something, it's just so rewarding. Alright, so now we're gonna head to the cupola, but the door is on the other side, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of a dangerous move and go to the other side of the craft. And hopefully not with too much momentum that we end up missing it entirely. So yeah, in a future craft I'll be able to attach the cupola a little bit better. But for this one, you just, the only way to get into it is to actually EVA outside, so. But it's okay, because unless there's a problem, the engineer won't have to leave this space for any amount of time. So they're not going to have to do that maneuver very often. So she goes ahead and goes to the comm, lets everyone know that she arrived safely. Do a little quick save right there. Looking around. No, we don't have any life support mods added, but if we did, we could see our screen right here. That would tell us how much we had. We'll picture some Kerbals there. Nice touches done on these IVAs. I opened up my settings real fast because I was hoping to see that I could, if there was any way to turn up the quality to see that picture a little bit better. But unfortunately, no. My quality was all the way at its highest. Alright, so now we are in our seat. We have some control over screens here, so we have some information that we can see. We could technically fly from this this cockpit if we wanted to. Wouldn't recommend it because it's on its side, so control of the craft would be a little funky, but we could. It's doable. I believe this is also the DE plus MAS. I'm not sure. Note from Bill Kerman. A little illegible though. Too low res to read. We're going to put our attitude control on that screen. And take a look at our science here, because after all, this is a mission of science. So I went and pressed the action group that ran all of the experiments. Or no, excuse me, not the action group. I used the screen right there to run all experiments. So now I'm using the action group to collect all the science into the science collection container. Experiment storage unit, that's what it's called. So we're going to go down and we're going to review the eventually. Right now I'm playing around with transferring it, but in order to get it into the mobile processing lab, we're going to have to review it to start working on it. There we go. That little yellow icon at the bottom tells us that we will get more science if we decide to study it in the MPL. And it's grayed out, so that means we won't get anything from it. This, we won't get anything if we study it, but we did get some science by transmitting it. But for some reason it said no comms on the vessel, which doesn't make any sense because we definitely have two very large communication dishes on the sides of it, but we probably just weren't in a direct connection with the KFC. So on the fly, I'm adding some action groups to start and stop the research of the mobile processing lab. We could just right click on it and do it through the menu, but I wanted a way to access it via the action groups. So now we are starting our mobile processing lab, and we got a notification that we are now using more electricity, so we know that it's working. We can bring up the screen. We can also see that it's working there because it says stop research. And we only have 88.3 science, and we can achieve a whole lot more with this, so we are going to try for that. So here we are. We see that the Minimus station and the Kerbin station are both accepted. They just now have a time to complete. I don't know why it's saying that we are in orbit around Minimus, but it is accepting that the parameters, and so both of these are going to be running at the same time, and we'll complete both of them at the same time. We are going to be sending this to Minimus, so I don't feel like we're cheating too much. The fact that we're just getting the money for the contract early is basically it, but we have enough Delta V to send this to Minimus. We have no life support necessary, so we're not going to risk anything. So we will make sure to complete that contract legitimately. But as it is now, it's counting down. So we're just going to time warp our way forward, let it orbit the Earth, or Kerbin, several times. And then once both of those go green, we'll focus on the next aspect of the mission. And there we go. We have successfully completed both those contracts. That is, it's going to be a huge chunk of money ready for us. As we see here, we are now at 1,600,000. Excellent. We need 1,800,000 to upgrade our research and development lab, though. So we are definitely going to have to start making some more money. I think we might be set up to the point where we should start considering taking some tourist contracts. But for that, I think I might want to work on creating and perfecting a space plane, something that I can kind of reuse and be able to make quick, simple missions cheap and affordable. So let's make sure we rename our vessel. Instead of the KISS core, it's just the KISS 1, and we change it to be a space station icon. There we go. We officially have a space station now. We will probably tack a few more things onto it. I'd like to maybe have a way of getting from the space station down to the surface. Oh, what I motioned there is that we now actually have signal to the KSC. And when we went to transmit, we were able to transmit. So earlier when it said there was no usable comms on the device or on the craft, it meant we just didn't have any connection to the KSC. There you go. We now have 93.3 science. A little bit extra, but soon we will have hundreds or potentially thousands. So we're back in the engineer's seat. They are going to run all the experiments one more time. Collecting all the science into one spot. Fortunately, it doesn't collect into the mobile processing lab. I wish there was a way to kind of automate that process, but no. So instead, we will just go through our science and make sure that we can study the ones that we can study. So we can't get anything from that. No point in keeping it, no point in keeping it, no point in keeping it. So all these ones we had done before, so we are not going to get any more science points from that. Same with these. And we're just going to keep going through just in case. I'm pretty sure they're all useless, but you want to make sure that you check every single piece. And also, if they are useless, there's no need keeping them around. Now this one allowed us to. There were 2 extra experiments on here that were not counted before, and one of them we were able to study. So, you know, it was worthwhile running the science again and checking it out. We're not doing any crew reports or even any EVA reports. If we were to do EVA reports, we could do one over each biome, so we could get even more science from that. But we don't do that. So I'm going to find a nice way to time warp our way past our science goals, and I want to make it so the screen flashed as little as possible. So we slowed down the time warp for a little bit. We will speed up one more time, but yeah, we're just watching our science go through and being processed, the data being processed into science as we time warp our max ability through our orbits. And this craft has been up for over 100 days now. That's one of the benefits of not having life support, is you don't have to. You can do things like this where you just time warp forward 100 days, except when the game glitches out and for some reason destroys your craft entirely, leaving you with a green screen inexplicably. It said that our parts overheated, but I don't understand how. We were over 200 kilometers above the surface periapsis, so I took this as a glitch. I'm going to allow myself to revert to the last quick save, and we're going to go ahead and just pick that up again. We're going to do the same thing that we did before, but we're just going to keep a better eye on things. And we have 436 science. As we're uploading, we're about 96% done. And we shall get another 496 science, or 490 science from that. 936.3 science is what we have. We are also going to be doing that another time, get over 1,000. We're just going to be building up science as much as possible. And in the next episode, we are going to work on a different mission. We're not going to be doing space station stuff, but this will still be producing science in the background while we do. And I'm looking forward to that. I will have the early access footage of both the test flight and the mission up soon. So if you want to check that out, early access, that is available in our members channel. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. That's where I'm going to leave today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward for more KXP. If you did, please consider giving me a like, drop me a comment, let me know your thoughts, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.